This reminds me of a poem that I once did a recital for, remembered for a recital. It's called 20 Froggies, and I've heard it be redone on the internet a lot by Indian speakers of English. It just doesn't sound the same. I'm sorry guys, not to be prejudiced. We communicate just great. And I love that you do not use the US dollar to trade in oil products, along with the Saudi Arabia, Russia, China pact. And there's a few, I think Pakistan's in there. Oh, and North Korea, they're in there. So they seem to be the more honest crew at the moment. But anyway, that aside, yeah, that was a while. I learned that one in the taxi back to. Okay, so let me give you an update. Okay. Like, can I sit down anywhere for this update? So a hurricane is apparently coming to, remnants of a hurricane are coming to Aurelia. I'm in Aurelia. So I'm in Aurelia. So I was in Vancouver. This reminds me of where I started and where I'm going, okay? That's what this is all about. This is Lindsay in Taiwan, so I'm trying to get back to Lindsay in Taiwan. And unfortunately, Taiwan's a bit of a dictatorship, but they've got 3 generations of people brainwashed into believing that it's a democracy, which isn't entirely wrong. I mean, you can make a delusion become reality, but it takes a little bit of gusto. So I'm trying to advertise. So basically Taiwan is a dictatorship, and I've read the laws. Oh my God. I've been in the Taiwan court system for at least 6 years in the criminal court system. Cram School accused me of ruining their reputation because I told them that I was in a mental ward for 3 years in Canada before getting a job at their school. And this is before I signed the contract, okay? And I told them, I just want to be on the level with you that I've already committed more time to this story than I will ever be able to commit to you full time from now on forward. So just so you know where my allegiances are, without a doubt, they are to the story and not to your school. So don't ever push me. And the school says, okay, we love you. Now, Lindsay did sit beside me and translate that conversation, and I did audio record that conversation. And that was 6 days before we signed the contract. And then 9 months after we signed the contract, then they fired me, accusing me of psychiatric illnesses. Real good, yeah. The bizarre behavior, firing me for bizarre behavior, that's like grounds number 1 schizophrenia, right there, by the way. I don't even know if they understand that. And the other one then is, of course, no criminal record submitted, which you gotta ask yourself, well, how is he already working 9 months without a criminal record and now you're firing him for that? Don't you remember emailing him and telling him, no, you don't have to submit a criminal record, we'll take care of that? You can't fire him for that after that. Anyway, so thanks for the mental health kick on that one. And then it turned out that all of the psychiatrists in Taiwan, now Taiwan is actually a very educated country. Headspin. Okay, now we go. Taiwan is a very educated country. They're at the forefront of medical science technology, including also social structure and infrastructure. If you consider the comparison between Taiwan and Canada, Canada has on average 4 people per square kilometer. Taiwan has on average 612, or is it 618? Anyway, it's among the top 5 countries in the world, and Canada's in the bottom 5 countries in the world, behind like Antarctica and Russia or something like that. Anyway, so Taiwan, in order to get their stuff together, they have to get, like, it has to work. So they are actually very honest. They're very honest people. And the prejudice that we experience here in Canada toward the Chinese people is like the opposite in Taiwan. It's like reverse prejudice, if that's possible. It's oh my God. When I speak English there in Taiwan and somebody doesn't understand me, I don't have to ask, and instantly there'll be a whole group of Chinese people that are trying to understand what I'm saying. And then somehow the leader speaks up, and then I'm automatically always talking to the group leader, which is awesome. So they've got that pre-programmed from elementary school. And then talking to the group leader, he's most familiar with the rules, and when we do a quick rule check and we find out that all it takes is a simple recording. Like for the immigration officer literally did not want to give me a permanent residency in Taiwan. So I recorded the conversation. I said, dude, you just like 20 different times threatened me on the telephone. Did you want me to play it back for you? I recorded it also. I know you did. So after that, he hung up, and 3 days later, he's like, yep, we'll be sending you your immigration papers, whatever they are. The APRC, they call it, the Alien Permanent Residency Card. So I had that. So if I'm out of Taiwan for more than 6 months, then I lose that. Now the problem is, okay, oh my goodness. So the court, so all of the psychiatrists, okay, all of the hospitals in Taiwan require the mental patient to have a brain scan. And as I was going to have the brain scan, I heard a little voice in my head, the one that I don't really hear, the one that, you know, is kind of always there. It's the voice in the back of your head says, you know, if you really believe what you believe in, why are you going to do a brain scan if you know that you're only doing the brain scan because they believe that thinking comes from the brain and they want to find out somehow how your brain works. Or anybody's brain works. Not specifically just yours, just brain works. If you really believe that you're not your body and that you have an eternal mind, why would you do a brain scan? Beep, beep. So I turned around and went back up and I asked for the doctor. I said, I'm sorry, I can't do your brain scan. The voice in my head says no. Fucking idiot. Then the doctor ends up telling the court that I refused the brain scan, which is actually incorrect. I was challenging him on legal grounds. They follow the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, published by the APA in the United States. And that book is the same one that Canadian doctors use. Unfortunately, I've read that book also, and it does not say that you need a brain scan. As a matter of fact, it only says, this is the real kicker, make sure that any perceived delusions are not caused by a physical substance, which means a blood test is just fine, or a urine sample, or anything for any common drugs. You don't need a complicated, what the fuck is this brain all about? Anyway, that aside, then I said, hey guys, you know your book doesn't actually say brain scan, right? Whoo! Oh, that was a new one. Really? You mean like, and then I was like, oh, well, if you're taking away my right to believe in an eternal mind, you're taking away my constitutional right to believe in God. Have you not been explained this? Has this not been explained to you by a foreigner? You ever seen Chinese people hot before? Fuck me. Well, anyway, imagine that. And then I personally managed to have all of the forensic psychiatrists, all of the qualified psychiatrists refused to give the court an assessment about me after that in high court when I appealed on the doctor's lower court stuff. And after that then the high court didn't know what to do with me, because now they're an open violation of my rights while they even bother to continue with the trial. So they didn't allow me they didn't help me to bring the witnesses that I had asked to be subpoenaed, the ones that could prove that I'm like really, really innocent. They didn't want to testify, so I mean, who wants to testify? No, I didn't want to testify. Anyway, then they just, oh, and then I got into a motorcycle accident. Ugh. That happened on the 13th of August, 2023. I broke my shoulder, I broke my ribs, still here. So that's from the motorcycle accident just over a year ago. And I was on the couch, not able to move. Lindsay had to buy like one of those urine things that I could pee on the couch with. And then for so long that in that position, my body had somehow, just imagine the most excruciating pain in your body and then amplify that by like a factor of 10 to the point where it just cramps up, shuts down, you're not moving anymore. That was the result of being on the couch for a whole month. And then I went right back to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack or something. I had no idea what was going on. And so there was a second medical note then in September, and I think that was September 20th. Oh, also, I cleaned my own wound. I wouldn't let them dress the wound. I would not allow that. I'm just not, their system is scary. For me, that's scary. So, Lindsay, my wife, did an awesome job defending for me against the doctors. So I just want to say thank you to Lindsay. That was really, I mean, like I had just like this. I did that. I didn't let them do that. And I was in the hospital. So in order for me to get that clean without the doctors, I was making a puddle on the ground. And Lindsay was super apologetic to everybody, helping me to clean it up. And she lost her head a couple times there, but she did, like, it was really brave of her to be able to stick with me to that extreme, because it is a really unusual thing, usually in other people's environments. So I'm very stubborn, but unless you're going to be able to show me a better way, I'm going to stick with my way. And right now, the fastest way I have to get back to Lindsay is to declare Taiwan a legal dictatorship that's being supported secretly by the US, so that it'll fire a missile at China. China, which in its 2018 defense report said that it'll retaliate full strength against any clear-cut sign of physical aggression from Taiwan, in which case a single missile strike with a USA-supported OK and silently in the background there, Taiwan pokes at China, then China retaliates with everything. Has to, logically, the end. China has to retaliate with everything, because this is a US instigated plan to take over all of China, and China knows that. It is the same logical conclusion that every war games computer will lead to. And I see logically that. So I'm like a walking war computer with an off switch. And that happens to be Lindsay. So the longer you keep me from her, the more of a headache I'm going to be to other people, basically. So I landed in Vancouver on May 8th. I had very little notice. My friend bought me the ticket. I didn't know where to go. I spent actually 6 nights at the airport, not 5. I made a mistake earlier. I miscounted. It is 6 nights. Then on the evening of the 7th night, I was identified by security as not having any business on the property. So sometimes they do let homeless people quietly come in there if it's really cold, and homeless people can be really polite and discreet, because all they want is just warmth or safety or something. Like, you have no idea. They're more afraid of you than you are of them. These are the people that have been beaten up by the system. They are traumatized inside, crying, sore. They are the absolute lost and forgotten. And I've been in those shoes. So I'm there now. I'm just, enough's enough. And I broke my bone. So there's that. So I was in a homeless shelter for 14 days, and then I was in a hotel for 17 nights, and then I watched 2 cops commit extortion on behalf of the hotel director, Paul Bannis, and the hotel's at 180 West Georgia Street in downtown Vancouver. Yeah, 180 West Georgia Street, downtown Vancouver. Paul Bannis, B-A-N-I-S. And the 2 cops arrived on the 16th of June, 3 p.m. If I said 3:20, 3:30, it was 3 p.m. or 2:55. They knocked on the door, and then I had to spend a half an hour removing all the clutter, because I was the one that had actually called 911 police to protect me from the asshole Paul Bannis, who was running a sex trafficking show at his fucking hotel that I walked into. So first I called the non-emergency line on the 14th of June, and then I flagged their managers, or notified their managers that I'm onto this accidentally. I didn't know that they were like allowing it. The police told me that later. God damn it. It was bad enough when was it Nicole Khan or something, Vancouver police officer, female, was being repeatedly forcibly, I think mentally and physically abused by one or more superiors, including unwanted sex. And she couldn't reach out to anybody because there was like a big club going on. And so then they tried to have her committed in a psychiatric institute, and the doctor actually believed this woman. So the doctor releases her. She ends up killing herself just to let the story make the news, or for whatever reason. Like, she's in her own torment. Like, beyond homelessness, that's suicide, okay? Just to let you know why people kill themselves, and God does not hate people when they do that, because that is literally what they feel is their only option out. That's not being held against you. Like, your body is not who you are. You are not your body. It's like a pencil. At some point, you can't use your pencil to write anymore, you trash it. You have a voluntary choice to actually end your own life. However, that aside, you have also planned all of the events in your lifetime, which you are doing in real time right now. So, logically, if you are a smart person, you will understand that by killing yourself, you're actually delaying your own progress to whatever higher goal that you can't remember you actually also made. But you can deduce all that because you know that honesty means consistency, and you are an honest person. So, there's all that. And that's from the book, A Course in Miracles, by a couple other smart doctors there. They were like, I mean, holy God. One of them was like a super spy for the CIA. I kid you not. William Tedford. He was even on a plane to China to bring this girl from China who was dissidenting or escaping from China back to Canada. USA, sorry. And then he's, you heard of the MK Ultra projects from the CIA, those secret mind control projects? Well, he was like the director of those. Oh! Anyway, really, this guy was like, so he edited that book, and it was his other cohort who heard the voice that wrote the book. So you know it's coming from your higher mind somewhere there. Call it the aliens. Call it telepathy. Call it telepathy. Telepathy is the best word. So I gotta go deposit some money, and it's raining now. And so I wanted to tell you though, after the Paul Mannis issue and the cops that allowed the Paul Mannis to double charge me for the last night, leave the power off, and yada yada yada, turned away two cop calls actually, the non-emergency and the 911, turned both away. And then it wasn't until the next day that he himself called the cops because he himself didn't want me to pull the fire alarm in his hotel so that I could get the fire trucks to carry me out of his 11th floor window because I was sick and tired of his shit. I mean, the guy's a lying moron. And then he goes and he blames me on all these other crimes that he thinks I committed. Where, like, without a shred of evidence. I've been swiping my card every other day or every day at his hotel, paying almost the maximum rate for 15 nights, 15 full nights before I had any incident whatsoever with the police. And it was by my request that the police were called. So, I don't even know what to say about this guy. He's lying through his teeth. Of course I want him fired. I'm not joking about that. Am I supposed to be all forgiving? Like, what the fuck are you thinking? I offered him the choice. I said, hey, you know, you can make it up to me. You can give me a free hotel room in, you know, any Northland property around the world. One free hotel room every night of the year. Only one though, so anywhere in the world. Anyway, yeah, that was... I don't know what he was thinking. Like, see, anybody who would come up with a plan like that, just listen to the smart guy. Like, really? So Paul Bannis, like, just go to jail. We wrote that though. I mean, we wrote that to you. Yeah, those are the choices. I mean, fuck, those are the choices. You see the light? Anyway. So there's that. And then, so yeah, Dad says it's mostly to you, but I'm going to put it on Rumble. So I found a place where my YouTube videos aren't being deleted, which is awesome. Yeah, that was really tiring. Like, Facebook posts just disappeared without even a trace of their existence. I didn't even have time to save it. So, forgot that. So I'm not on there much right now. But I'm actually just chilling out. So, after the Paul Mannis thing, then I walked to VGH, which is Vancouver General Hospital, and I said, well, you know, I spent a lot of time in psych ward and stuff like that. So, what we really need is to put me back in a psych ward, because I'm like, you know, people are after me. Paul Mannis is after me. And I was kind of vague, I guess, but I did mention Paul Mannis quite a few times. So, okay, so the actual diagnosis for me is actually multiple personality disorder. There are 4 personalities, distinctly 4 personalities inside me. And then there's kind of like one co-pilot that's kind of like more like a whisper, like an idea shared between them. It only exists when they're all in agreement. So they're always trying to remain in agreement. And the reason for that is the logical ends. You can't tie them off to eternity. You can't do that because eternity is always singular, but the logical ends are always 2. So you got to figure out how else to tie them off. And when you figured out how to logically tie those off, you will find out that the answers, there are 4. And that was told to me. So, you will by then maybe also be able to tell me who told me that. And I'll give you a clue. The first letter is D. of the first name of the person. Anyway, that was Dr. Sherwood specifically. I was thinking about her there. So she'll be watching this, I imagine. So I did have an email typed up, but I thought, I guess a voice message would be okay too, but then I wasn't sure if she'd get the email. So at least this way, if I just put on like a featured post, she already knows that it goes to my Facebook page. But she's giving me the excuse that she can't check it from work, which is crap also, because if she actually talked to her boss would say, oh my god, yeah, we've already been warned. I mean, I have the right to communicate with my doctor actually through any medium that I choose. That is the law. And the kind police officer, one of the three who escorted me from the aircraft that was paid for by the Vancouver General Hospital doctor, who realized that he can't offer me the right to challenge an injection after he gives me the injection, which he did on the 2nd of July, 2 days earlier, stopped mid-conversation and told me, yep, we can get you back to Ontario, no problem. We don't have to go by the book. We don't need to transfer you as an involuntary patient from one province to the other, which is what I requested according to Mental Health Act 42. That it's possible, so I know it's possible, to be transferred as an involuntary patient, because I know from my past experience in Ontario that I am allowed to challenge an injection before I get it. And that happened on October 22nd, 2012, with a completely corrupt psychiatrist, and we'll get to that later. Right now, however, we're focusing on getting to Lindsay. And to do that, I need to make peace between Taiwan and China. And to do that, I have the seat of the Holy See up there on the United Nations Council. I can claim that if I can prove that I'm the smartest person, because that's basically the same as saying either I'm Jesus reborn, or I'm what the fuck, or I'm whoever his name is, or I'm the eternal mind, right? So you can say any idea that represents any of those, and I'm being quite sincere about this. Like it's your 3-letter word too. But that specific 3-letter word, I just wanted to point out. Okay, just like a sub-note on this one, okay? So the word God. This is actually a word that's defined in the Constitution of Canada. The Constitution of Canada begins with, Canada is founded upon the principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. Colon, and then you got Charter Articles 1 to it's about 50, I guess. And then after that, one of my favorite laws is law number 52. Law number 52 says, if one province allows a person to have a second opinion given before the forced injection, the other province has to do it too. Or the damage done is of no force and effect. But unfortunately, you've already injected me. So to say there's no damage done is quite the opposite. Plus, I carry now the weight of every currently enrolled involuntary psychiatric patient as well. So suddenly then they have to open their doors. 1,000, 2,000, however many patients in BC there are, all get let go. And then on top of that, that'll have to make the news. Then it'll be a class action lawsuit against the government. So we're either going to break this story together nicely, or we're going to break the story together not nicely. And here's how we're going to go about doing that. So I was an involuntary patient after I met with Paul Bannis in the Vancouver General Hospital. And then you can talk to Dr. Sherwood. She was the one that formed me. Formed me means committed me, which means took away my rights. And then she forced me to take this thing called Abilify, which I don't even know what that's supposed to Abilify. Anyway, so we had a difference of opinion about whether or not I truly suffer from mental illness. And I'm still questioning her about that. But she wouldn't let me record anything in her psychiatric session. And wouldn't you know it, I've already been to court about that. And that was the 3rd of July, 2015, in the Ontario lower court at the Barrie Courthouse, case file number C6966, and the year was 14, maybe 14. Some of the charges were started in December because I ran out of cash to live. So I figured, well, fucking system, if you can't support me at least to live on the outside, I'm going back into jail because I get free meals there. So I mean, at that point, my relationship with my family was already destroyed. My mom already lost her house over this because I was paying her second mortgage. So I had no home anywhere. Anyway, so the best home choice at that time for me was actually going right back to jail. And Lindsay was visiting me in Canada. Unfortunately, again, both times actually. First time September 2. Ugh, no wonder she hates the police as much as I do. Yeah, so I'm really not a police fan, guys. But I'm gonna need to. So the doctor then flew me back to Ontario. He didn't follow the book at all. And then, I spent a couple days with my mom and my son, and then eventually I got back out into the pot. So it was a marijuana story, another one. And then I remembered what I was doing there. I was like, oh yeah, I just got escorted off of an airplane, which the British Columbia government paid for me to have. Wait a minute, why am I not in a psych ward? And then I got all confused again. So then I went to the hospital, in Royal Victoria Hospital. And I said, 12 years ago I began as a psych patient here. I'm really not sure where I am in my life right now. I don't currently have any reason to be in Ontario, I think. I mean, my family still hates me from 12 years ago, and I'm pretty sure they're happy if I'm gone right now. So, can we send me back to BC? Like, they paid the ticket out here. And so I guess, the doctor's like, is this a delusion? Like, is this guy, like, for fucking real? I mean, holy fuck. This is like night and day different. So when I walked into Vancouver General Hospital, I got transferred to like this quiet area of an emergency section, which was just awesome. When I got put into RVH in Ontario, sorry for the wind, there's a hurricane coming. I think I mentioned that. When I got into this Ontario thing at RVH in Barrie, they like escorted me right to like this jail. I'm not even joking about that. Even the toilet was the same toilet that I had in my jail cell. It even had the same button on the wall. It was scary looking. And then I had to like ask for a blanket. Never mind a pillow, like no pillows. Nothing. Like it was a bare room with a bed that was bolted to the floor, basically. Welded. It was welded to the floor. I don't even know how they changed the sheet on it. Like it's jail. So, oh yeah, and if you close the door, you're locked inside. Go figure. No, they did tell you that. So they were leaving the door open, but it's still jail. I mean, so you leave that door open, then you get the crazy people that are actually like crazy, walking down the hall when you leave the door open. That's just super. So then I had to put my door almost closed, and sometimes it did close, but at that point it was protection. So I spent maybe 10 hours there, and then they transferred me up. No, not even 10 hours. 5 hours. 5 hours? And then they transferred me up to this place that resembled a lot like Vancouver first section where I was. And that was really cool. They had a dementia patient there, and it was my first real experience with dementia. And by real, I mean like real. So I figure, well, I'm clueless most of the time anyway. Like truly, I'm clueless. But I understand that the big guy upstairs is driving me. So, and that telepathy exists, and that we all have access to that same thing. Like I understand this, and so I'm looking at him. I'm like you cannot possibly be more confused than I am right now looking at you. So the guy just kept ping-ponging back off of the nursing station. Ping-pong, ping-pong. And then it was like, no, dear, it's not here yet. They're not here yet. And then you go back to, okay, I'm just going to lie down. So he goes back over and he sits on the bed. And as soon as he sat down, and you go, oh, yeah, I remember now. Go back over to the nurses. Excuse me, I'm expecting my son. Is he? No, dear, he's not here. It's the same ridiculous answer all the time from the nurses, no matter what the question was from the guy. And some of these questions, I mean, the fact that they were different questions showed at least some sort of intelligence behind the unit, right? Like, hey, the unintelligence was actually coming from the nurses. Bingo! And on camera there. So, you get a mental patient that you're transferring up into this shared lockdown unit with a deranged patient. And then all of a sudden, the mental patient volunteers and says, hey, you know what? I'm clueless most of the time. I would love to just have a chat about whatever we can remember together. And the nurses are happy to get this guy off their hands. So they let me move my chair over to this guy who's at the other end of the hall. And then I'm just reprogramming him. I'm just literally programming him out of his nonsense into a real-time moment. And at one point I realized that's what they mean by the truth hurts. The truth doesn't hurt the person hearing it. the truth hurts the person saying it because we feel like the other person doesn't want to hear it. It's fucking retarded that way. So I told him the truth. I was like, dude, we're fucking stuck in a mental ward. Those doors are not going to open unless the doctor says okay. It doesn't matter what the nurses tell you. They don't have a fucking clue. They want to let you out. They can go out for their own stuff, but it's whatever the doctor says. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah. So that hit like a deep nerve inside him. I guess he was just trying to figure his own way out. And then after that, we were just chatting the shit. And we got along great. I mean, we were together for an hour and a half. And at one point I got up and I pointed at all the nurses. They're sitting at their desk there. And I said, hey, definite memory improvement. Did you get that? And then later on, I see another psych patient wearing the same orange overalls I am. And he's been able to go out to get food and stuff like that. And I'm still wondering if I'm able to have my wallet back. So I'm like, hey, Rob, can I, like, how come he could go and get stuff and I can't? Like, what's this all about? This means we're psych patients, right? Rob's looking at me. He's processing the situation. Poor Rob. Oh boy, now I understand why I got sent back down to the other place again. So Rob briefly explained about the permissions to me, and then he got real uncomfortable. So I said, Rob, just call the doctor and see if you can get my permissions moved up, would you? So I guess he called the doctor and said that I need to go down. Or I call it down. It's actually the same main level there. But it's pretty funny on that one. This poor him. So then I was back in jail again. And then I just talked to the doctor and I said, hey, doc, can I go? I was on a 72-hour hold, okay? And I told her the same story I just told you. The same story. And her reply is, well, I don't really want to take a long note. You can definitely go. Do you have anywhere to go? Do you need a hand? And then when I told her about the Vancouver stuff, though, I mean, this doctor was super. Like, she was actually really listening. And I didn't take up too much of her time. Look, it's only been 32 minutes right now. So, I mean, I'm doing okay, right? Like, I'm you know, it's kind of my life. It's a little bit unusual. Maybe a news story or two in there somewhere. Maybe. Oh, we're not quite sure yet. But when I go back to Vancouver, so the doctor gave me a taxi back to my mom's place. And now I'm hanging with my mom so that I can get the maximum Ontario disability, which apparently I forgot I qualified for. So I'm doing the paperwork for that. And then after that, because I am like severely, like, I mean, totally diagnosed, like the whole chapter. The only one they were missing was the correct one. And the correct one is the multiple personality disorder. They diagnosed me with everything else. There's schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, delusional disorder, bipolar disorder, manic, bipolar disorder, depressive, brief psychotic episode. I'm like, we're not just talking one doctor, we're talking like 9 different doctors at least that have testified in court. And I wrote their names down and they're in a book and it's online there somewhere. You know, if you haven't found my Facebook page by now, well, welcome to the story. It's Renee4PM.com. And if you go to .ca and you click on the contact us button, then you'll get the book that mentions the 9 doctors, okay? So that's Renee4PM.ca. Click on contact us, then you get the book with the 9 doctors and the whole Canadian history that happened in 2012. But that aside, this is now 2024. And I am really wanting to get back to my cat in Taiwan. Well, yes, my wife also, but my cat is orange, and she sits on my shoulder and walks with me everywhere I go. Like, this is a very deep bond. Like, I'm not having sex with my cat, but we definitely share some sort of telepathic bond. I am sure that people all over Taiwan will testify to that. Talk to Lindsay about that. She's got some photos. She'll send you some current ones. Yeah. So if I marry Taiwan, and I give the seat of the Holy See to China, I'm friends with China because legally Taiwan is well, it's run like a democracy, but it is Okay, get rid of the wind on this one. Taiwan is really in partnership with the USA as a dictatorship. I'm not joking about that. And I'm also not joking about the missile strike, and I'm also not joking about China's automatic retaliation, their must option. And then what I didn't tell you is that the US will more than likely corral the other democratic countries of the world into supporting the US instead of communism. And I deduced that from the long hatred of communism that we have all been culturally inbred with, even if we don't want to admit it. We do not understand communism at all, folks. Did you know that the Red Army only began because a democratic dictator murdered about 2,000 human rights activists in an event, which you can Google and read about, known as the Shanghai Massacre on April 12th, 1927. And it was shortly after that year that the Communist Party, not Communist Party, but the Communist sympathizers, because they had been the first helpful country to help the Democratic Army forcibly reunite China from the warlording factions after the first Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of China government turned China back into an empire and then suddenly died in 1918. Turned it into an empire in 1916, I think, and then died in 1918. Anyway, it took until 1927, 1926, 1928, somewhere around there, to reunite all of China. And the Communist Army had nothing to do with that whole first half. Nothing. The Communist Army only came about because of the first guy who had the idea to reunite China in a democracy, his name was Sun Yat-sen. And he was a med student in Hong Kong in the late 1800s. And he had this idea after they gave Taiwan to China. Japan. China gave Taiwan to Japan. And so Taiwan didn't return back to China until 1945, when the war ended. And it was the communists and the Democrats that were fighting together side by side during the war to keep Japanese troops out of China that had grown to let go some of their old ancient hatreds. And it doesn't matter then what the cause of the hatred was, or whether or not they understood why they were hating each other or who was right. It does not matter at that point. When you're fighting side by side, I mean, you end up being willing to take a bullet for the guy beside you. That's what military brotherhood is all about. If you ever really wondered about that. So that got stuck into the minds of some of the people that saw the communists from Russia help the Democratic Party in China to reunite from the warlording factions. And so they saw that communism wasn't bad. And actually, did you know that communism was originally designed to come about specifically as, get this one, the world-ending government. Not in the sense of the world ending, but in the sense of the end of the need of governments like that. And well, to not offend anybody, the idea is actually true to its word, because I do have a means to do that. However, there is an alternative. That's the kind of bike I want. So in Vancouver, that's my new transportation. Please, hospital, thank you. With a sidecar, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Like a trailer in the back where I can put a person, like not just a baby, like an actual person. That'd be awesome. Okay. Where were we? I have a wish list. Barrie Police. I'm serious about the Dodge Viper that's outfitted with police gear. I'm dead serious about that. Yeah, and from the church, the Chris's church, I do want the Baron, Beechcraft Baron. Yeah, wasn't joking about that. So this story goes back 12 years, folks, and that's a level of consistency that the government doesn't understand. So to wipe them clean off the slate, we would only need to make gold, and I can partner with China to do that. And I've already mentioned to you in this video that there is already a pact and an agreement to not use the US dollar between those countries. So there is already a significant protest to the private bank that's currently operating the World Bank. And this is not the people of the United States, okay? The country is separate from the money. The money is a private bank. Remember that. And it's the same currency that's in all countries of the world. That's not US. US is military. So when like the military landed on Saudi Arabia's shore, started setting up a base, and then started stealing like 100, 200 million barrels of oil, and continuously wouldn't end, and that's why, well, actually that's why Saudi Arabia with these other countries has decided to never use the US dollar again. But, so the US military has its own ways of procuring funding for black programs, and the sale of stolen oil and heroin from other countries has been known to be one way. Basically, there's an uncountable number of black programs. There's only really one intelligence agency, and that's the NSA, and they're probably still trying to put all the pieces together about that. But, you know, there's a significant amount of information that comes through that we're able to share with each other, just honestly over the public channels, because it's actually also helping us to achieve the same universal state of consistency, so that we're actually always going to be thinking with the same level of attention to detail to specific objects, that things like the Chinese belief in feng shui, the placement of objects on the table, also becomes a real-time phenomenon. They're like, why would I ever put my pen down pointing at you? Is a pen not a sword? Can a writer not change the rules? Then why would I point my pen at you? I mean you no harm. I put it sideways. That's the Chinese philosophy of feng shui. You just get that logically. You just understand these things. So when you look around, usually, your thinking's quick, like, because you've learned to pay attention, and you do that by listening to stuff like this. This is why it's addictive to you, because it focuses your level of own attention, which you continue on as you hear the same script contract in your own mind and wonder, where the hell is that coming from? Figure it out, dude. It's your mind, and we share it eternally. Telepathy is what I call it. I haven't a clue to anything else. But I do know that I need to go put some money into my buddy's bank, because he's helping me out with some, well, actually it's a pay it forward kind of deal, which is actually really awesome. That's super handy, because sometimes when I have money, I do kind of give it away. Didn't work out so well the other day. I broke my bong. Okay, and I showed you my bong, right? My bong now has medical tape on the bottom. At least the bed where they put me beside had a roll of medical tape. That was greatly appreciated from up above. Thank you. So I fixed my bong, had a smoke, and then the taxi arrived. That was really awesome. And then the taxi driver, get this, okay, his son, I can't remember if he said that his son made No, he said his son made $16,000 in the stock market the following Friday. And I'm like, well, thank you for telling me that. Now I don't have to worry about a tip. Like, you're awesome. And thank you for reassuring me that your son is not making the same mistakes that I did, because I ended up losing $1 million in the stock market. It just sucks. So I told him to make sure that his son always pulls out some cash, so that even if it sinks, he'll still have some cash. And his dad reassured me that he's pulling out cash and he's using it. So in that case, it's, a load off my chest. So, but we were just speaking honestly, and he was the one that told me about the Saudi Arabia stuff. He said he watched it with his own eyes. He was there. Like, he saw it with his own eyes. That was a first-hand testimony from a man that I sincerely trust. And I know that I could really verify who he is if I really wanted to, but I don't care, because I know that guy is sincerely honest. And he was definitely listening to me when I was telling him about all the same stuff I put in this video already. Oh, well, at least it's not raining. So the battery's dying. So I broke my bong. So I bought a new bong. And then, so when he let me out of the taxi, the first thing I did was continue smoking. And then I wrote an email to the doctor, which was really not a friendly sounding email. And it was really something that I should have possibly rewritten, but when you're really high, then you're thinking, no, this is gold, this is like, I'm going to leave it, it's perfect, blah, 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 I'm the king of the world. Well, at that point, man, I got real lost after that. So I do have to cross this road now. Literally lost. So I ended up putting the phone down finally and saving the draft of this umpteen page email, just horribly written. I mean, it's got all the same ideas. It's just, and probably just as dysfunctionally organized, and that's fine too. But I did add a note in the email that to Dr. I could definitely cross a red light. To Dr. Elak Kant, the guy who paid for the ticket, to send me. No, not the guy who paid for it. The guy who listened to me in the conversation when I told him that the last doctor had broken the law, and he was the one that acted on behalf of the British government to try and cover up the fraud, because I was trying to challenge the diagnosis legally by remaining in voluntary status so that I could continue the argument. But he not only ended the argument by releasing me, he then paid for a one-way ticket out of the place where the hearing was. So, without providing me a way back, that's got to be against the rules there somewhere. I mean, okay, like seriously? So guess what happened then? So then on the airplane, I have a mental breakdown at the stewardess, who's repeatedly telling me not to record. And I was recording, actually, the first video for Rumble, believe it or not. And I haven't posted that video yet. I only posted the second one as the first video, which I accidentally double posted, and it wouldn't give me the choice to delete it. And I was really trying to. One of them anyway, but anyway. Oh, I uploaded the wrong video. I named it correctly, but I uploaded the wrong video. So that's the one I need to replace. Do we have an option for that in Rumble? Okay. So where were we? Dr. Harish Neela Kant. So Dr. Neela Kant, right. So that guy sent me back to Ontario. 3 police officers escort me off the airplane after the stewardess calls the police with the pilot's intercom because the Wi-Fi is down. And then, I don't know, I give it I think. And then she's telling me that I should stop recording to avoid trouble. And I was like, woman, did you not catch the fact that this is already heavily being recorded everywhere? Why would I stop recording? And then they escort me off the plane. So I was very thankful to the cop because he said that the police in Ontario were not looking for me. There was no arrest warrant out for me. That was a little bit of a worry. Okay, it was a big worry. I mean, I was told to leave it open. Yeah, I know, that was me high in Taiwan. Yeah, I was high in Taiwan there when I got into the whole issue with the school. But I guess I needed to be. I mean, holy shit, do you know pot costs $70 per gram over that in Taiwan right now? Per gram. I mean, that's like 2 ounces. That's insane. So, that's just nuts. Anyway. So I'm gonna marry Taiwan. This is. Well, I don't think I have to work with money then, hey? I just have to work on keeping crime down. How about I use pot to pay for the new marijuana police squad? Okay. Alright, well, that's the ending of this story. Somehow it's all gonna work out. There, somehow. Oh yeah, I'm hitchhiking back to Vancouver to have that hearing with the psychiatrist. But honestly, I want to work out world peace. So I hope they're going to be more forward-thinking now than what they have been doing because, their whole staff department, it took them 3 days to find my belongings, which they didn't manage to transfer with me when they transferred me from their PEAT, P-E-A-T unit on June 29th to the Seagull 8 pavilion. And I'm high on pot right now, walking down the street, telling you dates and places. I was in room 817. I mean, would you like me to describe the exact layout to you? I took a video for you. You gave me back my telephone while I was still inside there. Are you kidding me? I don't want to record you. You're funny to me. Fucking doctors. I don't know. They think that I actually want to record what they say. I am not interested in what they say. They just don't understand it. I'm actually interested in what life is like inside a mental ward. Like, this is an awesome documentary, isn't it? Fucking doctors. They got it all wrong. Yeah, so okay, so I'm just, gonna max out on disability support, and then when I go back to BC, I'll have some more cash in my pocket. Unless I can somehow muster these lottery numbers that I've been working on. Like, god damn it, like, really. And a hallelujah, amen. Thank you. So there's that. I actually heard the hallelujah, amen as a reply. So I just echoed it back. So that's sometimes why I seem like I'm talking nonsense. I don't know which part of the personality is talking to me. But I know that it doesn't mean any harm. I know that it loves the record. I know that it's not afraid of having anything exposed about itself. And I know that it really doesn't seem to think the way you guys do. So I'm in the middle there somewhere. I know that, okay? As for whatever else you want to call it, I actually don't really care. I'm just telling you, like, according to your books, though, it would be a multiple personality disorder. You should think about that. But I'm still not going to take any medication for it, so that part doesn't matter. And Sherwood, the doctor, she's going to have to prove that. She's going to have to prove sufficiently to me that I was misdiagnosed by the two doctors in RVH. That's her task, and she will do that by writing a textbook. And that's how we arrest the two psychiatrists. So, we can work out something else, but we should definitely right now remove them from the field, please. Their thinking is not going to be able to change no matter how much they listen to this video. And playing it on repeat for them is just mean, so don't do that. Let them snap out of it on their own time, in their own way. Maybe it's screaming aloud. Maybe they become real psych patients. Who knows? Anyway, Dr. Sherwood, I will make sure that she writes an adequate textbook to cover all the basics, okay? At least on that chapter. About the brain, we're both not sure what the brain's supposed to do. Like, really? I don't know. But I know that my memory extends beyond the physical lifetime of this body, so, whatever you want the brain to do, I'm sure we can find a way to work that out. Fuck. To me, it's just not even there. Like, and you can read more about that in A Course in Miracles. That's actually the book, if you read that, that's what trains your concentration to be longer at the start. Then you get other experiences in your life to confirm your own ideas to you, and that's your own mind. One of your own fours. The four. The pilot of the four. Affirming its direction to you. So, yeah. Okay. We're done. And still looking for my umbrella. This is my old one. There. Renee number 4pm.com